What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Please follow my Instagram at Russo Lifts, just in case something happens to this YouTube channel. You can follow, message, and you can watch my daily story content on Instagram. I'll see you there. Alright guys, what's up everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you guys are enjoying the new set, and if you could, I'm begging for likes now. I'm really trying to wake up this damn channel. I think I'm fucking shadow banned, but you know, I'm gonna keep grinding. I just put my head down and keep going. So today in this video, I'm going to be talking about the future of muscle building when it comes to biohacking. So I would consider myself a crazy ass biohacker that you should not, fucking copy what I do. You should just learn from my experiences, as my whole life is a documentation of tons of drugs, going into both the good and the bad, weighing out the risk and reward, and letting my audience make their own educated decisions based on stuff that isn't recorded in medical data. There's no medical data on, multiple blast of multi-compound testosterone, what that does, or multiple androgens stacked on top, or adding in androgens, HGH, and all these other stuff. Like, with bodybuilders, it's a lot like, modifying a car. It's trickle down. So trickle down effect of like F1 performance cars. It all starts there from pushing to the extreme. That's the biohackers that push the extreme, and then it trickles down to the masses. That's why normal people today take creatine. That's why normal people today use protein powder. All started with the crazy biohackers who are always looking for that edge. And I'm a biohacker, not just in muscle building, but nootropics, spirituality, biohacking, such as mushrooms and psychedelics. So I like to play around with everything personally. So today I'm going to be going into where I see it going, where I see muscle building, bodybuilding going, and my 2 cents. Biohacking drugs are going to get so crazy that you don't even have to go to the gym to have a crazy physique. So when we look at the anabolic matrix, right, the anabolic matrix is all the muscle building pathways, right? You got the androgen pathway, you got the GH pathway, you got the local growth factors pathway. So just to fill those real quick. Androgen pathway would be a SARM or a steroid. The growth hormone pathway would be any sort of peptide that facilitates growth hormone, and it would be obviously exogenous growth hormone in general. Anything that's going to boost IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1 count, which is going to cause hyperplasia, aka the splitting and creation of new cells, right? And then local growth factor, so something like arachidonic acid, which is an omega-6 fatty acid, is going to increase inflammation, aka local growth factors, which is going to cause more recruitment to the area as far as muscle building. So there's those 3 pathways. There's the insulin pathway, which is the most anabolic hormone in the body, and the transporter, which I'm not going to go into insulin because insulin's pretty fucking dangerous. And then there's the myostatin pathway, right? The myostatin pathway is the dark horse in the room as far as biohacking. So I'll have Dante pull up a picture of a Belgian blue. So this is a genetically modified cow that has 0 myostatin. So this cow eats grass all day. It just runs around. It doesn't fucking lift weights. There's no bench press anywhere that it's working out those muscles to maintain that size. Myostatin is the ultimate genetic limiting factor on how much muscle you can carry. So when you go on a steroid cycle, the reason why you can't just blast steroids into infinity and continue gaining muscle is because as the steroid blast continues, right, the myostatin is creeping up to stop the gains from the steroid cycle. This is why you should either cycle steroids, meaning you should do your blast, get your results, wait for the myostatin to creep up and stop it, or you should blast and cruise. You should blast until the myostatin comes up and stops it, go back into and cruise, let your myostatin come back down and repeat. Well, the drugs that are coming out are myostatin inhibitors. So if you go on my channel, and I have Dante throw up a card above, I did Injectable YK11, which is a myostatin inhibitor, which I'm going to do a full video on, but I've had multiple biochemists come to me with their skepticisms of YK11 as far as it not having a transporter to activate. But essentially what YK11 is seen to do in this shady, sketchy-ass study is increase follistatin if Follistatin is higher, that lowers Myostatin. That's the pendulum effect, right? So YK11 has been shown to increase Follistatin in like cells at a very basic level. So it's orally bioavailable. It's more steroidal structured in nature. But the thing that I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to go into YK11 specifically because there are also other myostatin inhibitors, which the other one that comes to the top of my head is called ACE-031, which is an injectable myostatin inhibitor. Basically, right, if you remove the genetic limiting factor of myostatin, you could get as big as you want, right? You know, my dog right here, he's been selectively bred for low myostatin his entire family tree. And like he gets one walk a day and he looks like he's in the gym 24/7. He's a 100-pound American bully, right? He has low myostatin. A gorilla has low myostatin. The Belgian blue is an example of an animal with zero myostatin. You can see that even though it's only eating grass, it's not exercising, it's just walking around. When you compare Dante, throw up like a normal cow to the Belgian blue. Like when you compare that, right, the reason why myostatin exists in nature is to stop your body from gaining so much muscle that it can't calorically support the muscle, thus you die, right? That's the genetic limiting factor, and you can modulate that as a biohacker, and these drugs are coming out year after year. And as the biohackers get more into it, I feel like this is the pathway that will make steroids obsolete. This is the pathway that will make growth hormone obsolete or make those other pathways much less important, whereas myostatin is the most important. Now, the questions and concerns I have is, how is this impacting the heart? How is this growing the heart? Is this all growing everything evenly? There is no data around that, and it will take biohackers to really showcase what's going on there. And then my other concern would obviously be cancer. So moving forward, I think if they can get a safe myostatin inhibitor, literally anyone could have muscles, never go to the gym, and you would maintain lean body mass. Really, when you look at like who has the good genetics, it's like when you look at Ronnie Coleman, he was naturally born with low myostatin. He was naturally born with low myostatin. I'm not saying he didn't work hard in the gym. I'm not saying he wasn't a hyper responder to steroids. I'm just saying when he was a completely natty powerlifter, he had an insane amount of lean muscle mass because his genetic limiting factor myostatin was super low. And he's not the only pro bodybuilder that has low myostatin. But that playing field is going to be evened out over the next decade and a half, 100%. I see myostatin being the next hot topic in the bodybuilding community. It already is. It's just so sketchy. And I'm personally not willing to risk like the ACE-031. I know a guy in my gym who abused it. His physique's crazy. He actually turned pro in classic physique. I'm not supposed to know he was using that. My friend who I featured on this channel told me behind his back what his cycle was, and his main secret was he was buying a ton of ACE-031 and risking around with that. So it's already prevalent. You can make the argument that in like Kuwait, you know, where all the anabolic chicken, you can make an argument that myostatin inhibiting stuff is going on over there. But it's all skepticism, right? I definitely think in the future of muscle building, as far as enhancements in biohacking goes, myostatin is going to be this category that really comes at the forefront, because at the end of the day, it's the ultimate genetic limiting factor. Like Dante behind the screen is a natural like 270 stacked, strongman looking physique. He carries a shit ton of lean muscle mass on his frame because his myostatin has been low his whole life. It was much easier for him to gain muscle than it was for me. Like when we first started lifting together, he could just curl weights with bad form, his biceps blow up. He could just bench, his chest blows up. Like he has that genetic factor that separates him. Now in the future, you could say even a nerd who's never lifted ever could lower his myostatin and maybe not get the same amount of results because Dante had it his entire lifetime, but could even the playing field essentially. There's a lot of unknowns with myostatin. I'm willing to play around with it, right? The injectable YK11 was my attempt to showcase the power, And oh my goodness, it's like hard to describe, right? So Myostatin, another reason, I'll go back to Ronnie Coleman as an example. I hope Dante's throwing up Ronnie Coleman, but Ronnie Coleman had a lot of back issues. Ronnie Coleman had a lot of joint issues, and you can argue that the lower your myostatin is, the less your joints are fed, right? That's the pendulum effect too. So the lower your myostatin, the shittier your joints are. And personally, when I utilize injectable YK11, I didn't want to lift heavy. I didn't want to put a lot of weight on my back. Everything like felt more crunched. My joints and everything were suffering. I felt like I was going to snap my shit up. I said that in multiple cycle log documentaries of that cycle. And I can see someone born with extremely low myostatin facing joint issues and shit down the road. That is one of the key limiting factors on, oh, you know, myostatin, I'll just lower my myostatin and go from there. Like, if you lower your myostatin for a long period of time, you'd be causing other issues that are virtually unknown. So I always get asked this question, where do you see it going? Because, you know, SARMs were kind of the evolution as far as mitigation of longevity side effects of HRT, TRT, not exactly, you know, bodybuilding per sense. And then steroid blasting has been around forever. And then the GH pathway was like, Dorian introduced the power of the GH pathway, and then that has us where we are today. And I think moving forward, the next unknown pathway is going to be myostatin, and you're going to see a lot of content and a lot of new pharmaceutical development among myostatin inhibiting, because it is the ultimate way to fight a muscle wasting disease, right? To fight cancer, to fight aging. What would you do? You would lower your myostatin. It would prevent muscle atrophy because you're lowering the genetic limiting factor of, like, once your myostatin lower, you're like, oh, your body's like, oh, we'll make more muscle here, and it's so much easier. So keep that into consideration, and comment down below with your experience with the myostatin pathway in general. I would love to read your thorough written out reports and comments. I will see you guys in my next video.